Hello, Mr. Niblock, ladies, gentlemen. My name is Jonas Yost. I work at store 2849 in Neosho, Missouri, and I'm here today because I would like to present to you a lesson plan I've developed for Lowe's for 2018. The lesson plan I have developed is focused on sensitivity training and diversity training in the workplace. I came up with this plan because of things I've witnessed in our Lowe's stores, especially in my own, and things that I feel Lowe's could do a better job of addressing going forward. I came up with this plan because as a graduate student, it's important for me to know what kind of things I need to look out for in my work, but also for Lowe's, it's important to make sure that we're on the right track in terms of the sensitivity training and the diversity training we need, especially in this time. The lesson plan I've come up with is based on 4 parts: an understanding of knowledge and a reinforcement of knowledge for our associates in terms of what we expect and what should be done in the workplace. The second part of my training is situational training, where we have associates actually be in a situation where they might have to say something and give them the tools and the knowledge to be able to give the right answers. The third part of my training is a tool to be able to address situations down the road and be able to properly instruct our employees on what needs to be done in those situations. And the fourth part of my training will be an ability to have yearly conferences to adjust problems corporate-wide and be able to introduce new training and new lessons down the road. The activity objectives, as I mentioned, are going to be broken down into 4 areas. Knowing what attitudes and the organization expects from our employees and how to handle situations, and understand just what constitutes any kind of harassment, whether it be sexual harassment or comments that are inappropriate from our associates. The goal of these objectives is to have a highly educated workforce that's ready to go going forward. Activity 1. The first activity in my lesson is going to be one that addresses just what our employees know about what should be expected of them in the workplace. This training will be conducted by having a lecture from either our human resource manager or our regional HR manager. After the lecture from them, the associates will be broken down into groups of 4 to 5. In these groups of 4 or 5, we will give them questions to ask each other with possible answers. The goal of this training is for our associates to learn which answers they should select and which answers might be considered offensive or inappropriate to the workplace. This training will last around 30 to 40 minutes. The second activity I'm proposing is going to be, again, recognizing situations. The goal of this training will be an exam where associates will be given situations much like the situational from the first one, but this will be more of a paper exam showing a situation and the proper responses. The goal of this training will be for our employees to be able to recognize immediately whether or not a situation is appropriate or whether or not a comment could be mistaken as offensive or wrong for the workplace. This will also give them a chance to gain familiarity with what is expected of our workforce and the organization. The third activity is an activity that can be incorporated on a need-be basis. This activity will be broken down to more store levels. This tool will be able to be used by managers for associates who continue to demonstrate inappropriate behavior, have issues with certain employees, or for employees who have accusations against other employees. With this training plan, the managers will be able to properly address these problems and be able to correct them or give punishment as needed. Finally, the fourth activity will be a conference. The idea of this activity is to have conferences quarterly or annually for the organization, whether by region or by district. In these meetings, we will have lessons given to the employees, beginning with a 10-question multiple choice test with situational problems and possible answers. At the end of that exam, we will have the person conducting the training go through these answers with the employees and see which answers were wrong, which answers were right, to get an understanding of where our workforce stands and just how much they have retained from the previous training. These conferences will also give management the opportunity to introduce new areas that have come up and to be able to give new learning to a larger group of employees. This will last around an hour to an hour and a half, just depending on how it goes, with no capped limit. Evaluations. As you can see, I will have written up a survey or an evaluation both online and in paper form. This will be the very first step of my training plan. These evaluations will be given to employees anonymously for them to give out their grievances of areas we need to focus on before the training even starts. The evaluations will consist of questions such as, do I feel my manager or supervisor properly addresses workforce situations of discrimination? Or have I ever felt discriminated or marginalized in the workplace? The goal of these evaluations will hopefully be honest and comfortable answers from our employees to be able to focus our lesson plans in those specific areas. These evaluations will be around 5 to 6 questions, simple word-based answers, to hopefully get the proper evaluation before we begin the training surveys. So why should we invest in this training plan going forward? The obvious value to Lowe's will be a workforce that not only has the knowledge, skill, and ability to be able to be properly behaved in the workforce, but also be able to properly address other workers, be able to not have inappropriate comments being made, and more importantly, be in a workplace that makes them feel comfortable every single day they come in. Another benefit to Lowe's would be having a workforce that is happy. Workers who are happy coming into their jobs, not feeling that they have to worry about any kind of discrimination, are going to be productive workers, and productive workers will lead to better customer service and in turn better profits for our business as we have engaged and happy employees. Another benefit will be the avoiding legal action from our employees. It's my fear that if these problems aren't properly addressed, we could experience lawsuits or any kind of legal action from our employees that could have been avoided if we had just given the proper training to our workforce and given them the tools to handle situations. And finally, the biggest benefit will be lower complaints from our associates. Our managers and human resources managers should see a significant decrease in any kind of discrimination complaints or any kind of harassment complaints, because in the theory our employees will be educated enough to not be able to act that way or to avoid those situations if they arise. The breakdown cost of this training is going to be around $3,400 per store. That would assume that we have an employee workforce of 120 in each store. The $3,400 is broken down in your handout based on every cost. There are presenters. The people who will be presenting this training will be our human resources managers at the store level, but for some of the training we may also incorporate our regional HR managers. The benefit of using regional HR managers will be the cost of travel and lodging should be low, or if they live close enough, they could simply come for the day and we wouldn't have to pay any additional expense to them. So that is my lesson going forward. It's my hope that we can take this lesson plan, or even parts of it, and incorporate it into Lowe's going forward. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at my name at store.lowes.com, or simply call me on my cell phone, 417-850-6727. Thank you.